Good morning, St. Francis. It is Monday, April the 19th, 2021. It is Monday of the third week of Easter. It is the 16th day of Easter. Coming to you this morning from the Great Painted Rock, which is welcoming us to spring and asking us to be kind. There it is. A little bit better over there. Yeah. Welcoming us to spring and asking us to be kind. This Great Painted Rock sits in front of our school, the Franciscan school. There it is. There's Thea Hall and Juniper Hall, or Juniper Hall and Thea Hall, right behind me. And a great momentous event has happened this morning here at the Franciscan school. For the first time in over a year, we have both our 7th and our 8th grade students back in person for in-person teaching. A long time in coming, but we have finally reached the point where we can bring them back in. And so it is a wonderful and glorious day as the school comes more and more back together again. In today's gospel, or in today's readings, the first reading, we begin the saga of St. Stephen, the first martyr, who is basically arrested because of his teaching and preaching about Jesus of Nazareth. And yet Jewish leadership, its Sadducees, Pharisees, scribes, cannot deny his wisdom, cannot deny the eloquence with which he speaks. And so false witnesses are brought against him to come up with lies about what he's teaching and not teaching. To each of these, again, Stephen does not offer any kind of rebuttal or rebuke or great defense. He just speaks again in wisdom. And leadership is amazed that through this all, there is no consternation, there is no distress in his face, but it seems like that of an angel. That first reading is paired again with looking at the ministry of Jesus once more through the eyes of resurrection. And this time a continuation after the feeding of the 5,000. And Jesus walking on water, which in John is basically kind of it's a non sequitur. Basically, he just appears walking on water, and they may be afraid, but there's no Peter jumping out of the boat to walk with him or anything else like that. And by the time they ask him to get back into the boat that they were on has reached the shore. So that was all Saturday's gospel reading. But this gospel reading, again, Jesus kind of goes, off to the mountains around the Sea of Galilee, to pray, and the people are following him. And they're following him basically not because, again, this great sign of feeding the 5,000 has occurred in their midst, the second of the great signs, but basically because they had their bellies filled, because they had a nice lunch. And they're hoping perhaps for a nice dinner or another nice lunch or some other kind of freebie that you can get off of Jesus. And Jesus recognizes that. Because Jesus does not want their bellies just to be filled, although that's important, and Jesus responds to our bodily needs. Jesus wants our hearts to be filled, our hearts to be filled. And our hearts are not filled, basically, with running after Jesus, for one miracle after another, or for one wishful granting of a wish after another. Jesus is not the great wish granter. He is not the great miracle worker that just entertains us. Jesus is someone who basically asks us to change our minds and hearts. Again, resurrection should prove that to us, that it is not just about making sure that the immediacy of our needs is met, but the entirety of who and what we are, of what we want to be in this world, of our destiny, of our future, as human beings, as images and likenesses of God in this world, has been guaranteed, has been transformed, has been affirmed by the resurrection of Christ. We are not just people, again, who move about, after one need after another and letting Jesus grant one need after another. We are people, again, who are meant to witness, as this past Sunday's gospel has asked us to be witnesses in this world of the great things that God does in showing the power of love over death and sin, of showing the power of forgiveness over separations and hurts and anxieties, of what it means to give, of what it means to be merciful, of what it means to be less judgmental in this world. Those are the great signs and witnesses of a heart that is filled with the love of God, and a heart that is filled with God and the resurrection of Christ. May this Easter season we grow to desire that more and experience that more in our lives. A blessed Easter, St. Francis. May the Lord give you peace.